Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We are excited to have you. If this is not your first time, then you know why we're here. If this is your first time, let me explain to you why you are here. So look, Gen is a leadership development organization. That is what we are known for. Our objective is to help create the confidence needed in individuals so that they can become who they're supposed to be. And so as an organization, we sell several different products door to door. And once a month, we have events just like this where we invite our friends, our family, our community to come to hear from somebody special, somebody unique. Now, this evening in specific, our objective is simple. We want to take a peek behind the scenes on what it really means and what it really looks like to achieve the pinnacle of success, the sacrifices that are made and all of the hardships that sometimes are felt. So here's the deal. When we think about champions, when we think about people who have succeeded at the highest level, we often admire them because we know deep down of their willingness to make the kind of sacrifices that all too often we're not willing to make ourselves. But we're inspired to be like them. We listen to them because our hope is that at some point we can find it in ourselves to be great, to do something genuine, to do something different. And so for that reason, we've got the man to my right here. We've got Pro Bowler, NFL player, Talanoa Hufanga with us. Guys, give him a hand. Give it up. So let me introduce this man a little bit before we give him the mic. So Talanoa, born February 1st in 2000. Brother, that makes me feel old, man. I graduated in 2002. So my goodness, man, time flies. He was born in Corvallis, Oregon. He attended Crescent Valley High School where he played safety, wide receiver, and quarterback. In 2017, he was named to the Polynesian High School Player of the Year Award. He went on to further his playing career at the University of South California. And as a junior, he was co-selected as the recipient of the 2020 Polynesian College Football Award. In addition, he won Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. He then was drafted to the San Francisco 49ers, 180th overall. In my opinion, 179 picks too late in the 5th round. And of the 2021 NFL Draft. And this last year, he was selected to the Pro Bowl as an All-Pro, as well as collecting the Polynesian Football Player of the Year Award as an NFL athlete. And now, currently, remains a force to be reckoned with. One more time, Talanoa Hufanga, give it up. So, Talanoa, look, you've done a ton. You've obviously had a lot of wins in your life, but I think now more than ever, it probably hits home that you've arrived because it ain't easy getting on the Gen stage, man.
Well, first, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It's truly a blessing to be here. I thank God each and every day. But talking about wins, I've had a lot more losses. Let's be honest. Like my whole life is L's, and when you start collecting them, you start putting together W's. So that's where it takes two to make one. So for me, I've learned through the process, but I'm just grateful. I'm truly grateful to be here. It's a truly an honor.
Look, Talanoa, we're grateful. We're the ones that we're blessed to be in your presence. Brother, do me a favor. Let's hold the mic up a little bit closer to your mouth. These guys they want to hear me. They want to hear you. Look, one thing we've got to talk about. We were just in my office. We talked about this. 3-time Polynesian Player of the Year Award. When I mentioned that up there, you said, you have to let people know that was won on all 3 levels. I don't believe that's ever been done. That's something special to you. Talk to us about the history of your culture and why that means so much to you.
Yeah, being part of the Polynesian culture, I'm half Tongan. My mom is white. I'm from Oregon, but my dad raised me in a Tongan way. The respect, the virtues, the culture behind it, and to be able to do it at all 3 levels, to me, the award, can go over a lot of people's head. It's just another award, but for me, it hit home because of the last name I represent. My dad is who I am, is the reason I am who I am, and what I represent through our family. But to win it at the high school level was tough. I had no idea I was gonna win it. I'm just this kid from Oregon that just shoot it for the stars. And to be able to land amongst them, it was something that I really wanted to do. And to be able to achieve it the next level was college. And I was like, oh, that's 2 out of 3. Like, that's crazy. And then the third one came, and I was just like blown away. Like, never would I ever imagine, to be in a spot like this. But truly just being able to be here is it's really eye-opening, and it's a tough road, but you stick to it because you love what you do and you do what you love. So.
Love that, man. The fact that you're here, it's a testament to your character and the battles. And that's what we're going to talk about, man. I want to talk about the battles. I want to talk about how hard you fought. What I want to do is I want to bring everybody up to speed on kind of who you are, Talanoa. So look, talk to us a little bit about your growing up. You mentioned your father, stable point in your life as the kind of the man you've become. Did you grow up in a house of discipline? Was it all fun and games? Talk to me a little bit about that. How was it like with mom and dad?
Well, I try to be quiet now. Let's be honest. I was a rascal kid, running around. I'm that kid running back there, just running around. Like, I'm not paying attention, doing what I can. I love it, and everything. But I always had a clean heart, like a pure heart, in the sense of I always wanted to do the right thing. I just wanted to have the right things done for people. You never wanted to get in trouble. I cried if I ever got yelled at, but that was because I never wanted to get in trouble. And so, for me, the discipline through my household was different because when we moved out of the city, I moved into a farm. And so I'm from Oregon, I'm like, what is this? I got cows now, I have chickens, pigs, and it smells different. It's not fun, but it teaches us a lot of different things, how to, grow up in a style where you don't have neighbor friends where you're going down the street to hang out. It's every person I got to hang out with, I had to drive like 10 miles just to get to them, it felt like, and it was just like far. And so for me, the disciplines of doing the work with the yard work with my pops, cleaning out the barn and doing those things. And we still had fun, I got to ride dirt bikes and stuff like that, but you don't get that kind of thing when you're in the city. It's a very different lifestyle for sure.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I grew up more in the city. It's probably why I desire more of a lifestyle like you grew up with. It's funny. I think we all want to switch where we're at, but I desire more of that slow life, man. That's actually really cool. You have a brother named TJ. Talk to me a little bit about TJ and you guys growing up. Were you guys competitive? Does he play sports as well? Maybe talk to me a little bit about, when did you find your love for football? Did you have other sports that you were into? Talk to us a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, so I grew up playing all different types of sports, but it truly, I truly give it to my brother. My brother is the reason I played football. He was the reason that I played basketball. He was the reason that I tried all these different things, and he's the reason why I got bullied a lot because he taught me how to be competitive. He taught me that, when you get knocked down, you don't just stay there, you get back up. And so for me, having him by my side each and every step of the way, it's a reason why he lives with me during the season, in the NFL. Having somebody like that so close, he keeps me in check. And so having a guy like him is amazing. People don't see the things that big brothers do. And my big brother, he played football at Oregon State. But when I was blessed to be a middle school, I think I was in 8th grade at the time, I used to go to college classes with my brother. And I would sit there and be like, what is it like to be a college student? What can I do? Because, at that time, it's like, I couldn't afford to go to college. So for me, it was like, okay, I gotta pay for this. Like, how can I pay for this? Let's get a scholarship. Let's do these things. And so, I get to these classes with him. I'm even on the clicker. I'm taking the answers for him. I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. And I get to go in the locker room with him and see those things. And it truly was like, whoa, this is what it takes. These guys are huge. I don't know how if I can handle this, So, but having him just, bring that competitiveness out of me, was something that I truly admire.
It's invaluable, man. I was going to ask you about that a little bit as to people who have kind of inspired you in life and those that have helped you get there. I think my biggest example in life on loyalty also comes from a brother. So I resonate with that in a major way. I think family has a way of getting the best out of us. And I think it's probably a testament as to why you're the kind of leader you are, as well as the example that your brother set for you. And so I resonate with that. I know the room does as well. Talanoa, look, you ended up going to USC. Before we get to that, I want to talk about how you got there, man. So I would imagine that to get an offer from USC and to be able to achieve the things that you did while you were there, high school was probably a little bit different for you than it was for me. When I was done with high school, I was going and hanging out with friends and, you know, just relaxing and hanging out and doing the thing. But I would imagine that you had a little bit more of a strict schedule. Talk to us about the sacrifices in high school that allowed you to land a scholarship with USC.
Yeah. I was in 8th grade. From 8th grade, I was transferred into a bigger school. So was fortunate enough to go to a bigger public school. I was in a private school my whole life, and then went to the public school. And the public school was kind of eye-opening, like, oh, there's a lot of good athletes. Like, I'm not the best in my sport, you know, and it was like a freshman. I went out there and I played on varsity as a freshman, but if we go and look at the film, it was terrible. Like you just look at it and you're like, dude, you couldn't, like, coach, what were you thinking? Like, why would you put me back out there? Like, bad idea. But looking at it, I was like, okay, this is what I need to work on. And because at the end of my freshman year, I didn't get a scholarship. And to me, I was like, that was I thought I had to get a scholarship by my freshman year, or else I wasn't ever going to play football or do anything in life. I really thought it was over with. I was like, it's done.
Wow.
And that's when I really checked myself. I still remember, like, crying in my dad's arms as a freshman. And I'm sitting there like, what can we do? And he's like, what do you want? And I was like, well, my dream was to play in the NFL my whole life. Like, I wrote this thing down since I was 6 years old. You know, first grade, second grade, third grade, teachers asked what you want to do when you grow up. And I wrote it down on everything. And it really didn't check me until freshman year when I'm looking at it and I'm crying, like, what do I want out of this? And that's when he's like, okay, if you want it, we'll go get it. So from then on, we woke up every morning at 4:15, got to the gym by 4:45.
Wow.
We're in there every single day until the next year. And even the years after that, it was just something that was just, we switched it, and it was like, well, okay, let's start here and let's just work. So we had the foundation. We went to we really went back to the basics and built up from the ground up. And getting my first offer was actually in Utah. University of Utah gave me my first offer after my sophomore year. So that was something that, like, tears, you know. So
I bet.
It was something that you work for, you grind for, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings. And nobody else understands these things, because it's like, you see what do you want out of life, and what do you want? And so for me, it's like, that was my goal. And so I set it to the highest standard of what I wanted to achieve. Like, I'd be on the football field at 3 a.m. in the morning doing back pedals. Was I good at it? No. But, like, I tried it, and I just kept doing it until I got better. And I was like, okay. Because at the end of the day, my Oregon football was not where it was compared to a team like Mater Dei in California, or a team in Texas, or a team in Florida. So for me, I had to do the extra work to be on their, like, just their talent level. And so going through all that through high school was something that I just had to build it to it. And it was a lot of failures that helped me raise it to the attention that I needed to.
Dude, when I hear you say 4:15 in the morning, it's funny. The only thing I remember at 4:15 in the morning in high school was tripping on my way to the bathroom, man. I certainly wasn't doing back handsprings at that time in the morning. Talanoa, that's inspiring. Look, here's what I want to focus on. All of us here, we've all achieved to a certain level, whether you're a doctor, whether you work on a road crew, whether you are, regardless of your industry, you achieved at a super high level in high school. Polynesian Player of the Year award, right? You're at USC, you're trying to make a name for yourself, but in high school you were top dog. We've all felt that way. We've all felt like, yeah, I've got this. I have control of my destiny. But when you arrive somewhere new, and there are new expectations set, new levels of achievement that you're trying to hit, how was that for you? What did you do as a freshman and onward at UFC to earn your stripes, to deal with acclimating to that new type of competition?
Well, like, if we kind of rewind just a little bit, my senior year of high school, I graduated high school early, and I also graduated college early. So for me, like, my parents always pushed academics. Academics came first in everything. So when I was in high school, making that plan freshman, sophomore, junior year, I was like, how can I graduate my senior year early and get to USC? So when I showed up, I actually graduated after my senior year of football. I graduated right after the season, and I early enrolled at USC. So now I'm a 17-year-old on campus, because I wanted to get there early for spring ball. And so I get to spring ball, and I'm 5th string on the depth chart as a safety. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, there's a depth chart? Like, I ain't never seen a depth chart from that. Like, I'm always on the field. Like, yeah. So that was, like, eye-opening. Like, okay, you have to stand on the sideline. This is something I've never done. And so respectfully, it checked me again to where, okay, I'm not the top dog that we talk about, but what can I do to be better than everybody else? Well, everybody's still working. Everybody works hard. But it's like, can we do the right things on and off the field? One of the best advice I've ever had I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Troy Polamalu.
Oh yeah, we know Troy.
Troy, by the grace of God, man, I was able to get in contact with him coming out of high school. And
Wow.
he gave me the biggest advice I've ever heard. It said, if you want this and you want to get it, we're going to have to change a few things. And I said, okay, let's get it. He said, no social media. We got to feed the homeless once a week, and we got to meet a new classmate once a week as well. And I said, okay.
So repeat those again for me. You have to get rid of social media.
No social media for all of college.
Feed the homeless once a week.
Feed the homeless once a week.
And what was the third one?
The third one was meet a new classmate each and every week. Which that one, I will be honest, I struggle because I'm a social person sometimes, but I did struggle to just go and look at someone and be like, how you doing?
Totally. Yeah, it's scary. It's intimidating for sure.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this, as a 17-year-old kid with social media, I did not want to give it up at all. It was one of the hardest things where you got your iPhone and you hit the remove app. Like it hurt my heart. Like I'm looking at this thing like, please don't do it.
It's a hard thing, man.
So
you sent some into a panic attack. You pull that move on right now, man. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So next thing you know, I drop everything. I drop Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. I don't even have Facebook, but Facebook is something I dropped too. So
Wow.
It was something that really was like, okay, if I really want to achieve with my goals, like we got to really lock in. And so getting there as an early enrollee, dropped everything, and I lost a lot of friends out of it. It actually it really weeded out. They always say keep your circle tight. Well, my circle got really small, and it was for the better. And it was something where I was like, oh, this is the focus I need. This is what I want to achieve. And so when I did those things, things started to pop up. I went from 5th string to 4th string to 3rd string to next thing you know, I'm starting as a freshman, even though I was a 5th string when I first walked in. And you see all these things unfold. It was just something like blessings right in front of your eyes, So,
Yeah, man, I love that. Makes all the sense in the world, and again, resonates big time. Your freshman year, you broke your collarbone. So you played, how many games? Was it 8 games that you played as a freshman?
8 games.
Crushing, break your collarbone. What happens? What do you do? What's the story after that? First, collarbone isn't the end of the world, but it takes you out of the running. You mentioned a scholarship. You mentioned, all the goals that you had. What did you do? How did you get through it?
Well, my dad gave me some really good, really great advice coming out of high school. He said, pick a school that you want to go to school if you could never play football again. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm recruited all across the country, Alabama, Notre Dame, Michigan. And I'm just like, okay, where's somewhere warm, somewhere that's beautiful, you got the beach close by, and here it is, USC. So here I am. My dad's advice came into fruition my first year. I'm starting, and then boom, I get hurt. And it's just like, dang, this sucks, But I'm like, oh, I got USC still. I got the degree. At the time, I'm like, oh, I'm living life. It's awesome. And then it's boom, it's like this. But I'm like, the sun's still out. It still shines every day. So I'm like, I can get through this. It was a tough time though. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. I was learning how to run again because your arms, it just doesn't work the same, it feels like. And then I know I broke it the first time, but actually 5 months later in spring ball, I broke my collarbone again. And that was I thought football was done for. You break your 2 collarbones in 5 months. I'm like, and it's the same one. I'm like, no, this can't be true. I thought my dream that I had put on the poster, was just gone. And that's, to me, was like, dang, this is really real. And so that's when I decided, okay, what do you really want out of this now? That's true. We can stop here or we could keep pushing. And for me, it was now I got a metal, I got 10 screws and a whole plate in this collarbone right now. For me, it was how can I still play safety and hit people for a living if this is gonna hurt? And it was mentally I had to get over that edge and just push through.
All the time, we all have plans, right? Everybody has a destination they want to get to. I think the beauty in understanding that journey is how to get through the roadblocks. And, collarbone, broke it twice, 5-month period of time. You're constantly using your shoulders as a safety to hit people. It's one of the things they teach you from Pee Wee, not to lead with your head, but to use those shoulders. You break it twice in 5 months, that's a thing. And so you've got to mentally prepare and, or be prepared mentally, I guess, to proceed, in which you were. And it shows, based on the life lessons you would learn as a kid, why that happened for you. One last question on USC before we move to the pros. You were a freshman, you broke your collarbone, you come back as a sophomore. by the time you were a junior, Defensive Player of the Year, winning the Polynesian Football Player of the Year award, obviously you were being a leader on that team. Talk to us about how you were progressing on that team and how you earned the respect from your teammates as a leader. What was that journey like for you?
Well, the journey actually didn't end with injuries, because actually going into my sophomore year, my collarbone was so strong because of the metal that I actually dislocated my shoulder, my right shoulder, and I had surgery at the end of the season. So going into my junior year, it was like, I just had 2 injuries that I'm like trying to get over. The third injury actually was like, okay, I'm done, but like I already dealt with 2 of them. I can finish this through. And so that's when I was like, oh, this is the year where I can get healthy. I'll play and I'll get up out of here. And then COVID hit, and then COVID like just like ruined all my plans. I was like, dog, like can't even go to physical therapy. I'm doing physical therapy on Zoom. First off, if any of y'all have ever done physical therapy on Zoom, and somebody's trying to tell you to move your shoulder, but you don't want to move your shoulder because it hurts, like, how am I supposed to listen to somebody on I'm like, this is like, come on now, like this technology. I was trying, but that's to where I made a decision with my family. I said I have to go back to USC even during COVID. I was like, in order for me to finish this season, I had to leave my family, and that was a hard decision because I'm like, whatever my parents said, I did. And that was one time where I was like, you know what, I have to go home, even though it might be not the safest thing, but I need to get this physical therapy if I want to get to where I'm going. And so my junior year, I was able, God willing, to play a whole healthy season. And then that's when all those things come out, and it's like accolade. And by the grace of God, I was able to get drafted.
And that's where I want to go, man. You did get drafted. You got drafted 180th overall. And again, appreciate that story. It tells a lot about you, man. Again, I think to get to that pinnacle, to get to the top of the mountain, sacrifices are required. That's why a lot of us are looking at the top of the mountain from the ground, and we admire guys like you. So appreciate that story. I want to talk about the NFL. You got drafted 180th overall, San Francisco 49ers. This was 2 years ago. Won the Defensive Player of the Year, and you had all these accolades in college. Do you feel you should have been drafted higher?
Honestly, like, no. Like, I was drafted right where I was supposed to be drafted. You know, God has a plan, and for me, you know, 5th was perfect. And, you know, 5th round was where I need to be. And if I'm being honest, you know, I look around the league, like, there's great talent, there's generational talent all across the board. And being a 5th round, like, it just helped me work ethic-wise. But it also, I admired everybody else's game where I knew I was 5th round. I ran a 4.65 40, which in football terms, you're slow. Like, you're not supposed to play on the field. But for me, I always knew I could just get away with it because I had the work ethic to get it on the field.
I got to be honest. I was hoping you were saying, yeah, man, I thought I should have been drafted in this segment. I was hoping that, man. Because I had a bunch of information here. You just took about 3/4 of my present. No, I'm just kidding. I was hoping you were bad about that, brother. No, I agree with you, though. I think it's incredible. I think a lot of times people underestimate or they don't recognize, like, to get to the NFL at all, like, to even just get a look, to get invited to camp after if you don't get drafted, to make a squad, to even be on the practice squad, it means you are the elite of the elite. So it's like when we sit here with somebody like you, my next topic is to discuss the Pro Bowl. 2nd year in the league. Guys, got to give a round of applause to Talanoa. 2nd year in the league is Pro Bowl, all pro. Absolute highest accolade you could get. What we're saying here, because there are no safeties in the NFL right now that play the position better than this man. And if nobody else is saying it, I'm saying it. You heard it here, Matt. That's the truth. To get to that level, we talked about it before. So you got high school, and then you move to college. There's obviously different expectations. I want to again, and let's see if you can just pinpoint to me maybe 1 or 2 things that going from the college ranks to the professional ranks, what did you have to change? Was it something mentally? Was it physically? Was it both? Talk to me about something that yet again needed to evolve for you to be able to swim in that pool.
You know, a different mindset was to like achieve. You know, I read a book, you know, that was given to me by Troy called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And so for me, it was all about, you know, being unapologetic, you know, and being unapologetic to your process. Each and every day you show up with the same mindset of what do you want to accomplish. And so going from college, you hear about all these injuries that I've had. You know, I'm like, okay, what can we change? And I've never looked at training different. And so I started training different with Troy. But everything was about body therapy, was about mental therapy. It was all about getting everything done right off the field. So when you train and you do these things on the field, it just becomes a lot easier. And so for me, I had to open up that mindset of these coaches always talk about the best availability or the best ability is availability. And so when you're healthy and you're playing, that's how you can make money and that's how you can feed your family. And so if I was hurt all the time, broken collarbones, I could never be on the field. And so that's where I had to change my mindset of like, oh, I have to take care of my body. I have to take care of my mind. I have to learn at a different level, at the different speed. Because when I say this, high school speed to college speed is the same speed from college to the NFL. It's the drastic difference. It's like everybody, if you're a step late, touchdowns after touchdowns. If you're a step too early, get juked out of your cleats and then you're on your knees and then it's not a good thing. So that is the change that you have to do. And so for me, mentally, you have to prepare for that. And so it's all about time management, consistency, preparation, and there's a bunch of things. And for me, I know you said one or two, but to me, it's like there's so many things that go into that really will bring it out of you at the end of the day that you have to be disciplined on at the end of the day.
I asked you to choose two. I know that there's a million, there has to be, and the age-old saying comes to mind. It's like, what got you here won't get you there, right? And so it's like, what got you to that performance at high school wasn't going to get you to do that in college and vice versa, in the NFL. And I love that you mentioned, body therapy and what you eat and paying attention to these fine-tuned details, because we are all there. We've all achieved to a certain level, but we kind of tap our head on the ceiling, or maybe we're introduced with a new opportunity. We just don't know how to handle it. And the idea is that you have to constantly be evolving, and what got you here won't get you there. And those additions have made you a Pro Bowler, man. So that's incredible. Absolutely. Here's a deal along the lines of the Pro Bowl that I want to focus on. And I feel like my mic's changing frequencies. Bear with me here, y'all. Here's what I want to talk about the Pro Bowl. Obviously, in order to get voted there, you've got to have incredible individual accolades. And I think, what did you have, 6 interceptions this last year, or was it 4?
I'll let you tell it.
All right, well, either way, I'll tell you this. As an individual, to get voted to the game, to get that award, you have to be incredible. But there's more to that. You have to be an influence on the players around you. And I think, at least from what I've been reading over the last 3 weeks since I knew we were going to be sitting in a room together, and a lot of the reports that I read on your post games are how much you influence and make the players around you better. And for me, Talanoa, that's the key ingredient in life, right? It's like we say it all the time. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go together, right? And so the impact that you have on the people around you is everything. So to get this accolade, to get it voted to the Pro Bowl, means that you didn't only perform yourself, you brought others up. How did you go about in year 2 in the NFL? This is big boy league now. Like this isn't people you can bully around. A lot of big personalities. How did you gain that influence? How did you get to the point where you had a voice that could be heard?
Being the first one in, last one out. And it kind of goes back into the last question. I think I can answer with 2 things, humility and obedience, because humility is at the heart of obedience. So if you can humble yourself and be obedient to your process and going around your peers and doing the little things right, and it's like taking the credit when somebody else, they messed up, but you still took the credit for them. You took the fall. And, it goes a long way, and it builds the character in the room. I tell this to my guys, and I love Utah because of the mountains and everything. So it's pretty, it's beautiful. And I tell my guys, when we climb this mountain, the higher to climb, the lonelier the journey. So let's climb together. Let's just go up there and that's where you see each game. It's one game at a time. We're climbing this mountain to the top, and we still haven't succeeded yet, but that's our end goal. How can we climb each step, one game at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time? And when you do those things together, it brings that collectiveness together, and it pulls it out of you. And for me, it has to come out of my humility and my obedience to my teammates, my obedience to my coaches, and my obedience to my family, and my lady, and all those things. And when you bring those in together, that's what will bring it out for your teammates to respect.
So you kind of led me into my next question. So, a lot of times as leaders, it's easy for us to say, yeah, no, I'm the leader. I know it. I'm in this position because I'm that guy. And all too often we block out the voices of others. We block out, I think I'm going to talk loud. I think my mic's, well, no, never mind. Here we go. All too often we think that we have it all, that we can't learn anymore. I feel like leaders that do that and that close themselves off to influence and to mentors that have possibly done things better, they have a lot of folly. And so for you, maybe give us some examples of when, because again, being a Pro Bowler, if a coach comes over to you and says, hey, yo, run this drill or do X, Y, Z, or, hit the track a little bit more, you could absolutely say, brother, I'm in the Pro Bowl. I think I know how to work out, right? I think I know how to practice. Obviously you don't do that, and that's a testament as to why people follow you, but how has being a good follower allowed you to become the leader that you are?
Yeah, I've always loved the leaders that were quiet. I respected those guys, the guys that came in, weren't the rah-rah guys, because I've had a lot of rah-rah guys that didn't have production. I've had a lot of quiet guys that would show up and are silent assassins on the field. And for me in my profession, that's where you're like, dude, you're a baller, you're a dog. That's what we call them on the field. And so for me, I see those guys and I'm like, okay, what can we get out of them? What can we bring? What is he like if he talks? What if he's like, if he, even just talks a little bit more, breaks down the huddle one more time? And for me, it's like bring those guys into a comfortable zone, even though they're uncomfortable talking. How can we get them to talk? I'm a person that was uncomfortable talking, and I was forced to talk as a kid. Being a quarterback, you have to communicate with everybody. It was something where it got me out of my comfort zone, where I'm like, okay, this is what it takes. This is where we can go. And, nobody's ever perfect, And so for me, it's like, how can we change that and strive for perfection, even though we know we might not ever obtain it, but that's something we want to strive for, because at the end of the day, we want greatness. And so even though I am a Pro Bowl athlete, I have to be a humble person, and I'm that fifth rounder still. I'm the fifth rounder that comes into the building, and I respect everybody, and so you don't earn it. Like you have to earn it each and every day. And it's our coach always used to say, you got to buy yourself another 24. And so what does that 24 look like? It looks like humility, obedience, character, like all of those things, and you put it all into one. That's the kind of leader you want to put in and be around. So.
Dude, I love that. That's well said, man. Thank you for that. That is huge. Okay, here's something I think my mic's dying. I keep turning it on here. I'm going to talk live. Okay, so here's what I want to know from you. I'm trying to put myself in your situation. I've been in situations before where something's new, trying to get the lay of the land, and I'm lacking confidence. You're on the football field as a San Francisco 49er. You're in the NFL. You're brand new. Was there a defining moment that you recognized, yeah, I can play here? And when that moment hit you, what happened to your career at that point? Do you have something in your mind where you're on the field, you make a play, you do something where it's just like, okay, I'm here and I've arrived, and what did that do for your confidence?
Well, I had a lot of plays where it deterred my confidence down. I still remember my welcome to the NFL moment was I got juked by Tyreek Hill on a jet sweep, my very first game all time. Preseason. I'm lining up against Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. I'm like, this is crazy. First off, Tyreek Hill jet sweeps, and as he's juking me, he says, gotcha, mid-play.
You'll do that.
Tyreek, if you watching this,
you'll do that.
I can't believe you said that. That's crazy. And so that's when I'm like, okay, we got a lot of work to do. And so going through this process and stuff, I really didn't feel that moment until this year. And it wasn't until you start getting into a groove of like playing where you just trusted other people. I think that's the thing about, being the athlete that you are growing up. You always are relying on yourself to make the plays, to do everybody's job. And then that's when my coaches finally told me, just do your job. I was like, oh, is that simple? Like you said, just cover this guy with this leverage and do this. And you're telling me we're going to be successful? And then that's when my confidence went to the next level, because when I started doing my job, we had all a collective win, and that's where I felt the most confident, because I'm like, if I do my job and he does his job, we're going to win. You have all the confidence in the world. Everybody thinks it's like, well, I got to do more for this guy, I have to pick up this. No, whatever is asked of you, just do it. Am I perfect? No, I've messed up plenty of times, but I have players around me. A big influence on me was Tashawn Gibson, the free safety that plays next to me. He's the guy that comes up to me after every play and he's like, good job, bro. Even if I got scored on, he's like, you got it. And that gives me all the confidence in the world to go out there and play the game that I love. So when you just break it down into that little bitty thing right there where it's like, if I just do this little thing and tell me we gonna win, I'll do it.
Do your job. The reason I'm keeping this up here, my mic's dead, the battery's dead, so y'all know, but we're still recording, so we'll cut that out, Donnie. We'll cut that out later. Either way, I love that example. I love the idea that if you stick with it long enough, you create a breakthrough. The people around you support you, build you up, and then in turn, as a leader, you're able to do that to those who follow you, which obviously is what you're doing. Here's a question. This is interesting to me. This is something I want to know. I think a lot of times as individuals, I personally, if I have a goal or if I have something I want to change about myself, all too often, I know how to do it. Typically, we know how to make those kind of changes we want to make, but just sometimes we don't do it because we don't want to, because it's hard, because we're lazy, whatever that case may be. So Talanoa, enlighten us. Brother, what do you do right now that you absolutely hate that makes you better?
Oh, man.
What do you do right now? Like you wake up, you're like, man, I absolutely hate this, but if I don't do it, I can't be great. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Take care of the body. But first, like, this is really funny because this is like with my lady and everything. My lady is my chef as well. She helps me. She just started learning how to cook. And she's actually amazing. First off, like, very first like meal she's ever cooked was Thanksgiving this past year. And I gave her the hardest job. And I was like, let's see what you do with it. And she killed it. And I was like, all right.
That's tough. That's a tough gig. That's tough.
She's my chef now. So
Nice.
One thing that we do in this part is we drink these shakes. And these shakes, I'm gonna be honest, I have to drink 3 shakes a day. And these shakes are miserable. Like they're greens, they're nothing but healthy, and it's just, you're just knocking them down. And I'm telling you, it's like 2 of these all in that's one.
Oof.
And so it's like I got 3 of these, plus my 3 meals a day, plus the 5 liters of water I drink, all in the whole day. And so I'm drinking these shakes, and I legit wake up, and I'm like, dang, it's gonna be a long day. And I'm like, my lady, she's always gave me a lot of love. I come home, it's the first thing she does. She gives me a kiss, she gives me a hug. And then she's like, did you finish your shakes?
She knows.
She knows.
She knows.
If I finish 2, she's gonna sit there and watch me drink 3 until I finish. And so to me, it's like, it's such a basic thing, but when you do it every single day, it's not fun. It's hard to do something that's miserable every single day. But at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, what does these 3 shakes can give me? Well, it can give me an extra burst in the fourth quarter, extra burst in the overtime. And then when everybody's body breaks down in the middle of the season, my body is still healthy all the way to the end. My breakdown is until the off season. That's their goal at the end of the day. So being around her and having that kind of accountability and doing something miserable every day that I don't like is something that I'm like, okay, I can do this. And, it builds that confidence even more.
That's typically it, right? It's typically something that's small, a minor detail, but we hate it. And it ends up, we make a mountain out of a molehill. I'm sorry, take that, reverse it, nope, I was right the first time, take a mountain out of a molehill. But often we blow it up, right? And we make it so big to the point where we become paralyzed, we can't move. But if we just do it, and we become what we're trying to be, become the best person that we're trying to be, and obviously those things keep you healthy and keep you in shape, and it's why you're in the Pro Bowl, man. So, all right, here's what I want to ask you. Second year, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, team leader, sky is the limit. What are your goals for the NFL? What are you trying to accomplish over the rest of your career? What would allow you to hang up the cleats, look back over your shoulder, and say, "Yep, that's what I wanted to do. I achieved it." What are you going for?
Can I tell a story?
Oh, please.
This is actually a goal. This is about goals. I wrote these goals out as a junior, gonna be senior in high school. So I just turned 17. 17 years old, I said, I'm gonna write 17 goals down. And so my 17 goals down, I'm like, I aim for the stars. I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna score this many touchdowns, I'm gonna do this. And so I get to these goals, and next thing you know, things that I didn't think were gonna happen, started checking them off. I was like, whoa. The first one went off, the second, third, fourth, might have skipped the 16s, checked that one off, come back up, check them off. I crossed off 16 of them. The 17th one was because of my character. And so I wrote this goal down. It was my rival high school. I played the year before. I scored 8 touchdowns. And so for me, I'm like, man, I'm the big man of campus. I'm crosstown rivalry. I own everything in my city. So I'm like, you know what? I score 8. I'm gonna score 10 next year. I wrote it down. 10 touchdowns. Aim for the stars. And so when I get there, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. The week before, I play another school, and I get ejected from the game. I got ejected because I was cussing. I got ejected because I hit this guy very violently. I got ejected because I was taunting earlier in the game. And all of this went into one hit, one moment where I let my mouth go. I got ejected. So what does that ejection do? Well, it prevents me to play in the next game. And the next game is against my crosstown rival. And so now I'm like, well, now I can't score my 10 touchdowns. And so I wrote these 17 goals out. I swear to God, 17 goals out. And I achieved 16 of them. The 17th one was character. And I was like, if I just did this, I would be able to play in that game. God willing, I probably wouldn't score 10, but at least I would have the opportunity to. And so what I take with that, you know, everybody talks about writing your goals down. I write goals, I write different things what I want to achieve. But what I've always wanted to achieve in life and throughout my career is character. You know, I've always said, and I told people, what is your lasting impression going to be? That I was a better person than I was a football player. Because if I can be an all-pro player, you know, God willing, I could be an all-pro person. So, and that was something that I really achieved for, and that's kind of my story. But it's something that really hit home with me and that I really wanted to share with others for sure.
Man, that is super inspiring, brother. It's character. I didn't expect it to be that. You know what I mean? When I sit here from you, I think, oh, this is a man of character. But obviously, we all go through our own journey. But that's super impressive. Talanoa, I love these kind of conversations, man, because as I'm looking through my questions that I've prepared, you're kind of leading me, and you're pre-answering. I was going to say, you know, based on the goals and the things that you want to accomplish in the NFL, none of that can happen without a plan. So what's your plan to get there? But you've kind of answered that, man. You write these things out, and you check them off as they happen, and you fight for it until it happens. So that's incredible. Talk to me about post-NFL. So we're done with the NFL. What do you hope? Two things. One, what do you hope your teammates will say about you when you retire? What do you hope the chatter in the locker room is like when Talanoa hangs up his cleats finally? And then two, what's after the NFL? What kind of impact or influence are you hoping to leave on the world?
Yeah, being the all-pro person is one thing I would love, you know. But I don't strive for it. You know, that's somebody else's opinion. You're not going to make everybody happy. I think that's one thing that everybody wants is to make everyone happy. You're not going to be able to do that. There's going to be people that dislike you, but you're going to have to be able to smile in their face and say, God bless you, you know. And for me, I strive myself each and every day to do my best, be my best version of myself. But post NFL, honestly, you know, there's a lot in the making. I want to be all these different things. I want to be a coach. I want to be a teacher. I want to be real estate development. I want to do all these things, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I want to raise a great family. So whenever I get that opportunity, post NFL, you know, whenever this time ends, I would love to just be a great father, great husband, and those things.
I think there's no doubt you will be. I think there's no question about it. Here's a fun question I want to ask you. What's going on with San Francisco this next year? Where do you guys place that? Do you guys get to the playoffs? You guys going to win it all? What's the outlook for our team? Yeah, I'm a San Fran fan now. I was born and raised a Browns fan, but no more. I'm a San Fran. So what are we doing this next year, man? What's on the horizon?
Man, well, like I said, we're trying to climb this mountain. So, you know, one step, hopefully we were one step away last year. So hopefully we can get that next step and be in the Super Bowl and see where it goes from there. So, you know, we're building this team. You know, free agency is different. Seeing all these guys that I loved make a lot of money going other places, but, you know, I'm very blessed for that, happy for them. But for me, we're gonna climb.
Yeah, man, I love that. I know that Jimmy G just recently went to the Raiders. It's all right, man. I played a little quarterback in high school. Well, no. I carried the water to the guys who played quarterback in high school. I meant to say, let me know if you guys need help there, brother. Check this out. Last thing I want to ask you. We've got a room full of people that have dreams, and you've obviously achieved a lot of your dreams. You still have them, and you're still trying to achieve them. But what bit of advice would you leave us with to the people who are dreamers out here, to all of us who are trying to do something great, that would wake us up, that would put us into action? I mean, a lot of times we sit and we dream, and that's where it stays. What bit of advice would you give us to wake us up?
Set your alarm. Truly, set your alarm for 4 a.m., do it for a week and see what it changes, you know. Do your habits, write some goals down, read every day, you know, and open the Bible. That's something that's like mandatory, you know. Like I know when I'm not doing my best is when I'm not in the right things that I need to do, whether it's the word, whether it's reading, whether it's my brain games, and that's where I find myself in these struggles. But to dream is something that people put limitations on things, but when you can go out there and you can achieve something great, you have to dream for it all. And so if you can do that with humility, obedience, or with great character, great things will happen.
So, Talanoa, brother, we appreciate your time, man. This has been incredible. It's been a treat for us all. Again, the objective of Gen is self-betterment. And so when we get the chance to meet with guys like yourself that are achieving on a level right now, it's inspiring. So we appreciate you. We're indebted to you. That's our time for the night. Guys, give it up for Talanoa Hufanga.